Hey everybody, and welcome back. This week's video is a cap hack where we're going to cover a few different ways to style or dress your cap in the 18th century. It's not going to be just me this week, so joining me, I have two lovely assistants whom you all might know. First up, we have my lovely coworker, Brooke. Hey Brooke.
Hey, Christina.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
I think, is somebody else going to join us too?
I hope so.
Do you know who it is?
Maybe it's our favorite boss?
The best boss.
Yes.
Yes. And then lastly, we have our favorite best boss ever, Angela. Hey, Angela.
Hey, Christina.
What's up?
Oh, not much. Looks like we're going to be doing a film.
We are doing caps today, and you ladies had some really great caps from our pattern. And I think, though, before we get started, it would probably be a good idea, don't you think, Brooke, if we spend a little bit of time talking about how to read an image to determine what we're going to do with our caps. So, Angela, would you mind telling us?
Sure.
Great.
I'd love to do that.
Well, we'll leave you to it.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So I talked to you guys during our lives that was in conjunction with the sew along about inspiration and where you go to find people wearing caps. And I believe we put some great links into our sew along so that you could go and look at images yourself. I know that some of you have not been familiar with looking at genre paintings or contemporary paintings to a period. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about how to look at them and how to decipher what you're seeing. So we got a few images thanks to LACMA and to the Met because they're very generous. The first one is Charity Begins at Home. Now, you can see that this poor woman is not of high standing, but she wears our little lappet cap, but you can see that she still has a ribbon tied around her caul. Chances are she's got a pin or two to hold it in place, and it can come off when she has to wash her cap. It is most likely silk because that's the most common thing. In the research that I've done, I have found silk in all social levels. Again, to reiterate some of my live information, the Foundling collection, which I've spent a lot of time in, is loaded with beautiful silk ribbons. And a lot of the people giving up their children are of the lowest sorts and the lowest means. The next one up is Miss John Winthrop. Now, she is a woman of quality. And she wears a very elegant cap. Again, it has a small ruffle around it. And she has her cap decorated with very beautiful, probably some type of brocaded ribbon or woven stripe ribbon. It's hard to tell. In that picture, she has taken the ribbon, or the ribbon has been attached to her cap, making little furbeaus. So little pleated bits of silk all the way around, and then it's finished off by a top knot. We are going to make both of those things in this little hack. The last one is a little girl, and it's kind of cute because she wears her fringe. You can tell that her hair is hung down below the cap, and the cap looks almost too large for her. Perhaps she's got mama's cap on. Who knows? But she wears what appears to be a double ruffle, round-eared cap, and she just has a 4-part ribbon on the top. Chances are this is pinned to the top and again would come off doing laundry. So those are just a few examples. I highly recommend that you go look at art, follow our links that are on our sew along, and you will find loads of images to give you your own inspiration. So with that, let's get to dressing our caps. So I chose my special color, which is called London Red. And this is actually a color that is copied from a lot of the ribbons that I found in the Foundling collection, where they called them out as red ribbons, but they were this wonderful orangey pink color. So to duplicate our poor woman, all we're going to do is take about a 1¼ yard piece of ribbon, and this is 1¼ inches wide. And I find that that works the best. 1 inch is a little bit too skimpy. Bigger is a little bit too big for this particular look. So 1¼ maybe 1½ is good. Ours is a nice silk taffeta, which is very common. You see lots of it. And all we're going to do is tie it. That's it. And she has a lovely little ribbon on the top of her head. There's another look you can get, and we see these in images. Unfortunately, we couldn't find an image that we could use publicly, but it is really lovely. And we talked to you about the lappet cap and the fact that you could bring the cap around under your chin. This allows you to do that. Oops, I'm going to do this first. All right, so we're going to go around, bring it back over, and then we're going to pin it. So if you can look here, I'm going to give it a pin about right here. And you see them using pins a lot on their clothing, in their caps, in their hair, everywhere. Pins are it. Children were pinned together. You know, they pinned the diapers on. They pinned everything. So we've pinned it like so you can see that. And then, whoops, I got it twisted up here, but you get the idea. And we're going to give her a pretty little bow underneath her chin. And there you have it. Now, she has a small head. I have 2½ yards here, which is more than enough for a larger head to a small head. A small head, you could probably get by with 2¼ but it does take a little bit more ribbon, but it's really cute. And although I twisted this, the other thing that's nice about this, if you want to, is you can cross it over at the top. You know, it just makes it really pretty. So that's it for the lappet cap. Now I've got Brooke coming over with her round ear cap because she has some really pretty little embellishments that you can do for your cap. Take it away, Brooke.
Thanks, Angela. So for our round-eared cap, we're going to start off by dressing it very simply with a plain ribbon. And I have chosen one of my favorite colors, teal. And I'm using about 24 inches of ribbon because this is just the right amount to go around the cap from the center to both sides here in the back. As you can see there, if you have a larger head, you will want more ribbon. If you have a smaller head, you might need less. And once I know it's in the center, I'm not even going to pin it here. I'm going to simply put pins in at the back here, just folding the edge under and pinning through it to hold it in place. And doing the same on the other side. There we go. And now we have a very simply trimmed cap. So we are now going to create a knot to go on top of our cap. We used a 1¼ inch ribbon for going around the cap. We are going to use a 2-inch wide ribbon, 24 inches long, to make the knot. It's going to be a 4-loop knot, and we'll start by folding it in half. I'm actually going to cut I'm going to cut it in half. So what we're going to do now that we have the knot ribbon divided into 2 parts, is in each part we're going to take the ends and we're going to fold them into the middle of the ribbon, and we are going to do a row of running stitches from one side of the ribbon to the other and back and pull it up. So after you've done this twice, you have 2 half knots basically to come together to become the full knot. And we're just going to do a few tacking stitches to hold those together. Now we have a knot ready to go onto our cap, as you can see here. And you can just use a pin. You can either pin it from the inside, but you can also just do the pin through the loops here on the outside, down into the cap and back up again. Oops, I got it into her head. Now, you might be asking, can we just do the knot and not the ribbons on the side? Certainly you can. I wouldn't recommend it with this cap particularly because this part is so wide, it would just look a little strange. You certainly can with the cap that Miss Charlotte's wearing in the image that Angela mentioned earlier, and on the wired cap that we have a pattern for as well. So we have another cap to show you where you'll see that this works just by itself. So here we have a cap that has a lot of shape to it and a lot of height, and all we simply need to do is take that knot that we've made and put it here in the front and pin it into the cap. And there we go. That's all you need to do. All right, now I'm going to pass you off to Christina for our final and most elaborate style of decorating a cap.
Thank you, Brooke. I am going to attempt to replicate the style of Mrs. Winthrop, who you see here. And so you can see that on her cap, she has what we call kind of poofs or puffs going along the band. And then she has that knot going on the top. And since Brooke also picked my favorite color, which is teal, I'm going to use teal also. So to get the puffs, what we're going to do, I'm just going to put her head over there for a minute, is we are going to, let's find the center of our ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my thread and my thimble. And just like Brooke showed you with the knots where she ran those gathering stitches through to draw that up, I'm going to do the exact same thing here on my piece of silk. And they don't have to be wonderfully perfect or even. They're really just doing the job of scrunching that silk together to help create that poof. All right, now if you are a measurer, you might use measure tape to space out your poof lengths at this point. We all know that's so not me. Oh, you laugh. I see you. So I'm just gonna eyeball it. So you can see we have our first little poof that is created, and we're gonna go ahead and do this the whole rest of the way down the ribbon. All right, so once you are done stitching your puffs, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. Now these look a little long, but we're gonna squish them a little bit together when we put them on the cap itself, so have no fear. Now there are two ways that you can attach these. You can attach them by actually stitching them to the cap with just a little tack stitch at each gathering point for that puff. Today I'm actually going to just pin them on because it'll be a little bit faster, and then I can show you what the finished look will be. And I would probably recommend very small, what the 18th century would call little pins, or what we would think of today as applique pins if you're pinning this in. Right, so you can see the nice poofs. And then to finish this look off, we're gonna go ahead and take our knot. Actually, I'm taking the beautiful knot that Brooke made so that I didn't have to make another one. Thank you, Brooke. And we're gonna pin it right onto the center. She's so pretty. And I think that's all that we have for you today. Ladies, do you want to join me again? So friends, thank you for joining us. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel below for all of the latest videos as they premiere, and also notifications when we go live. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. So remember, ladies, if you are having trouble figuring out how you want to dress your cap, or you're not sure what you should do, the easy answer is put a bow on it. What?
You took my bow.
Bye everybody.
Bye.